This is the video review for the Ultra Poseable Spider-Man figure from the Amazing Spider-Man movie toy line. And this is, at least from what I saw on the pegs, this is the only figure that has any kind of decent posability. It does have nice posability, but most of the line has posability like this. This is the lizard figure. You see how his legs only go forward and back? Yeah, that's how most of these figures from this line work, and I'm kind of disappointed by that because most of the Marvel Avengers figures were pretty decent in posability, although they lacked foot articulation, so it's sad to see Hasbro taking a step back in the toy design from what they were able to do in the last toy line like this, especially considering that they're so close together in time proximity. So that's disappointing, and because of that, probably this is the only toy that's really going to be worth getting unless you just like sculpts. So, this figure, as you can see, he's in a pretty posable, or in a pretty dynamic pose. You can even bend the wrist on it to simulate the web slinging, although you don't have finger posability. But what really makes this figure work is he has nice ankle articulation. You can move back, not as far forward as I would like, but then you can rotate it side to side. So you can really do a lot to get his feet flat, which can really help with his balancing, because the problem with the Avengers figures was they had no foot articulation, so they could never just stand straight. Or so their foot would never be flat, so they could never just stand in a pose except for straight up and down, unless you spent too much time balancing them, which would cause them to still fall over if a breeze struck them. This guy can stand pretty well. Now, one thing I don't like about him is the way his thighs are jointed. They are jointed like a lot of Reveltech figures, where the thigh doesn't just peg into the side, it pegs in at an angle, so when you rotate it, you're rotating around like this. So after you get used to it, it's not that bad of a joint design. It's just, it's annoying at first because you have to figure out how it all works. And sometimes you're not going to be able to quite tell how that ball in there is rotated around, and it can be really annoying trying to figure out how to get it where you want it to go. It's almost like a puzzle where you can only see half the pieces half the time. And you can get really nice poses out of this joint design, so I'm not knocking it for that. I just wish it were less of a hassle to do. But considering how thin his crotch piece there is, in order for them to go straight through, one of these would have to peg into the other, which would have the unfortunate side effect of, if you moved one leg, then the other would move along with it too. So I see why they did that. I don't know if I could do any better if I were designing this toy. I think it would just have to be a lot bigger toy to do a better hip design. But otherwise, the legs are fine. You have a thigh swivel, a double knee bend, and then the awesome foot articulation. Moving up, you also have chest articulation. You can rotate side to side, forward and back, and side to side. Or rotate around, side to side, forward and back. So it's not as flexible as I would like, but it is quite nice, and it does allow you to do quite a few nice poses, especially with the web slinging stuff. And then with his head, it can look side to side, and then it's on a little hinge here, so it can also look up and down. I prefer it would be able to look side to side and then up and down, because then he could say, and he can't just look straight up from here. No, you have to it's just not the best joint configuration possible, although it does work. And then the elbow is what you would expect. Goes around 360, it's pegged in straight. Goes in and out, although it only goes up just a little bit. You have a bicep swivel, double elbow. The hands can turn. And he has a wrist bend. So the articulation is quite nice, and you can get a lot of nice poses out of him. So I do like playing with this figure. I'm not quite sure if he's worth $9 or $10. It's $9.99. I'm not quite sure if he's really worth that much money because, say, with Transformers, you get a vehicle, a nice vehicle, you get a transformation, and then you get a nice robot. So, comparing any kind of action figure like this to Transformers, you're always going, at least I always end up asking myself, is this really worth it? Because, you know, Transformers offer so much more for the same amount of money, and a lot of the same posability that this guy has most Transformers have these days, so being ultra poseable isn't quite a as big of a selling point as it should be for me, because I'm used to most of the posability he has. The only thing that's really innovative for me is the side and forward and back chest area, and then the wrist bends. But even those, some Transformers have, like Transformers Prime, Robots in Disguise, Starscream, had a great waist joint. So basically what I'm trying to say is that all of these little plastic, kind of rubbery action figures are overpriced. So if they're your thing, go for them. This is one of the better ones because he has nice foot articulation. And yeah, that's about it. If you like Transformers, Spider-Man figures, Batman figures, Marvel figures in general, any of that kind of stuff, if any of that interests you, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.